The Ryco X105R engine protection kit for the 2007 onwards Toyota Landcruiser VDJ200 series comes complete with the Ryco Z980 SK series fuel water separator and RCC 351 series catch can, as well as specifically moulded hoses, brackets, fuel lines and hose clamps, all engineered for a neat install that looks like it could have come this way from the factory. As always, we recommend that the kit is installed by a qualified mechanic with the procedures shown in this instructional video. First up, we'll be installing the mounting bracket for the fuel water separator. Start by locating the wiring harness on the passenger side firewall, which you'll find next to the rear fuse box. Next, grab a flathead screwdriver and lift out the locking tab of the wiring harness bracket. Then pull the wiring harness out from the bracket. Undo the two nuts that mount the wiring harness bracket to the firewall and set the bracket aside for safekeeping. Next, locate the factory fuel filter on the passenger side of the engine bay and remove the two nuts securing it to the vehicle. Lift up the factory filter housing and fit the Ryco filter metal bracket in the same position as the factory fuel filter, being sure to align the other end of the Ryco bracket holes to the wiring harness bracket studs. Then, place the factory filter housing on top of the Ryco filter bracket and loosely refit the factory nuts. Secure the bracket onto the firewall by loosely refitting the factory nuts that you set aside earlier. Once everything has been loosely fitted up, tighten all the fasteners and secure the wiring harness to the Ryco metal bracket using a cable tie. Now it's time to get to work preparing the Z980 SK fuel water separator for installation. First up, select the supplied quick connectors from the kit that fit the Ryco fuel water separator head and locate the blanking plug supplied with the fuel water separator. Install them to the fuel separator like so, ensuring they're nice and tight. We recommend holding the filter head in a vise while tightening everything up to make things just that little bit easier. Next up, install the straight connectors supplied with the Ryco kit by pushing them onto the metal quick connectors until you hear a click noise at the filter head assembly. With that done, mount up the Ryco fuel filter assembly onto the metal bracket using the two supplied black M10 bolts and washers, making sure everything is nice and tight. Now we begin the vital step of plumbing up the Ryco fuel water separator to the Landcruiser's fuel system. Be sure to have a rag handy to capture any diesel that may spill out of the fuel line and the fuel filter inlet pipe. Start by locating the factory fuel filter inlet hose at the factory fuel filter. Loosen the factory fuel hose clamp and disconnect the fuel supply line from the factory filter. Once the factory fuel inlet hose has been removed from the factory filter, reconnect it to the Z980 SK inlet fitting and secure with a fuel hose clamp. Next up, grab the supplied Ryco fuel hose and connect one end to the outlet port fitting of the Ryco fuel water separator and the other end to the factory fuel filter inlet port, securing both with a hose clamp. After you've made sure that all the hose clamps are secure, you'll need to prime the fuel system. Locate the priming button on the top of the factory fuel filter and prime the fuel system by pumping the button repeatedly. Continue pumping until it is hard to press. The priming process could take approximately 5 to 10 minutes. Once you can no longer depress the priming button, turn on the engine and inspect the hose, filter and fittings for any fuel leaks. Now we can proceed to the catch can installation. Mount the Ryco catch can assembly onto the Ryco bracket by sliding the nylon bracket onto the catch can mounting position and rotate the assembly so the ports are facing toward the front of the vehicle. Next up, locate the factory PCV valve at the front of the engine and remove the factory PCV hose. Connect the larger diameter end of the shorter supplied Ryco moulded PCV hose to the lower inlet port of the catch can and the smaller diameter end to the engine PCV outlet port, securing it with one of the supplied hose clamps. Once the first PCV hose has been installed, route the longer supplied Ryco moulded PCV hose alongside it. Connect the large diameter end to the upper port of the catch can and secure it with the other supplied hose clamp. Check that all the hose clamp connections are secure and that neither of the Ryco moulded PCV hoses are jammed or kinked by the surrounding engine parts. And with that, the catch can installation is complete. To install the drain hose, remove the drain plug from the bottom of the catch can, take out the rubber seal from the plug and refit. Insert the drain hose and secure it with the supplied spring clamp. Insert the hose drain tap to the other end and use the zip ties to secure the hose. To drain, use a drain pan or bottle and pull back the red section until all oil has drained out.